Right then everybody, how's it going? This video is just going to be a prediction of the Premier League table for 2020-2021. So let's get straight into it because it's quite long. Okay, finishing 20th place, bottom of the table, I'm expecting West Brom. They've only really signed Matheus Pereira in the window, and he was very good on loan last year. But apart from that, they signed a youngster from West Ham, who I don't think I've ever heard of, for 20 million. But apart from that, they haven't done too much business. So I don't really see their squad as being strong enough to fight a relegation battle. Or 19th place, I'm expecting Crystal Palace to finish there. And often, at the end of the previous season, if a team's not doing very well, their form carries on over into the next season. And Palace were awful since the lockdown. Zaha doesn't want to be there. Or if he does want to be there, he's not playing like it. Their top goal scorer is Jordan Ayew. They've got Benteke and Wickham up front, and neither of them can get 5 goals a season. And I just don't see Crystal Palace surviving another year in the Premier League with the poor players they have up front. So I'm thinking they'll finish 19th. In 18th, it's got to be Fulham. I don't think they'll be as bad as they were a couple of years ago when they finished bottom of the table after spending over 100 million. I don't think they'll do that bad. But again, the squad doesn't really seem strong enough. Parker is a very good manager, I think, and over the next couple of years, I'm sure that he'll move on to bigger clubs and establish himself in the Premier League. But as of right now, again, I don't see Fulham as being strong enough. But then, I don't think anyone expected Sheffield United last season to be fighting for Europe. So Fulham, they're on the periphery. They might stay up by the skin of their teeth, but I don't see them not fighting a relegation battle. So I'm going 18th. Hey, in at number 17, I'm going with Brighton. Last season, they were not very good until after lockdown, where they crept away from the bottom 3. They've not made any signings really this season. If they have, I've not seen any important ones. Their biggest deal would probably be keeping Ben White at the club rather than letting him go back to Leeds. But can we see him staying in January as well? I don't know. I think Brighton were quite lucky last season and the season before, really, to avoid the drop. And I think this season they're going to be lucky again just by the skin of their teeth. In at number 16, I'm predicting Aston Villa. I once again see them to be fighting a relegation battle all season. They haven't really made any significant signings yet, but there's still a couple of weeks to go. They managed to get in Matty Cash from Nottingham Forest, who's a good signing, but right back wasn't really where they needed to improve. They've pulled out of negotiations with Callum Wilson. Talks with Watkins seem to have died down, so unless they do sign a good striker and a good winger, I don't see them finishing anywhere but 15th. In at 15th, I've got West Ham. Again, like Aston Villa, I don't see them doing as bad as they did last year, but I also don't see the team being strong enough to avoid a relegation scrap. I think it'll be a bit closer to the bottom this year, not just for bottom 4 fighting last day. I think there'll be a few more teams in and around. I think the quality of teams are quite similar at the bottom of the table. David Moyes, I don't see him being manager till the end of the season. If he's manager to the end of the season, I'll be fully shocked. But either way, unless they make a few big signings, they kept Rice, which is good. But unless they make some important signings and improve the squad, I don't see them being at the relegation scrap. So I'm going 15th. Number 14, we have Leeds United, the final of the 3 promoted teams, and they're going to finish the highest, in my opinion. Their long stay in the Championship is finally over, and they're finally back in the Premier League. They've managed to sign Rodrigo from Spain, which is a very good signing. Well, in theory, it's a very good signing. Let's just say I've put him on my fantasy football team, hoping that he'll score a few goals. If he doesn't, then, well, I'll just transfer him out, I suppose. So yeah, I'm expecting 14th, purely because of how good the manager is. Unless suddenly he leaves halfway through the season to join Barcelona or someone, which wouldn't be a surprise. For number 13 and 13th in the league is Burnley. And Sean Dyche will have his work cut out for him again, keeping the new Stoke City of Premier League football in the Premier League for another year, but I don't see him not doing it. He's a good manager. The team gels well. They've got a couple of really good, young up and coming players. Dwight McNeil, I think's a very good young player. Their defence is solid. Nick Pope's a very good goalkeeper as well. Great goalkeeper. I don't see them being anywhere near relegation scrap, but I don't see them fighting for Europe again. I think they're just going to be happy for another couple of years of a boring mid-table position until the owners get bored, decide to buy Bojan or some other Barcelona reject, and then get relegated 2 years later and then be stuck in the Championship. Number 12, I've got Newcastle. Steve Bruce will once again be unwanted by a lot of the Newcastle fans, but he did quite well last season with what he has. I mean, he did spend 40 million on Joe Linton, who is the definition of a walking toilet brush up front. However, this season they seem to be looking at more appropriate transfers. At the minute, we're looking at Callum Wilson. We'll see whether that goes through or not. If it does, he's guaranteed to get more than 2 goals. Maybe not 20, but more than 2. You might not have a Saudi Arabian takeover, but you can be happy for another mid-table finish. So, again, Steve Bruce will be there for 1-2 more years before he gets sacked and replaced by Adam Pardew or someone. That's my prediction anyway. In at number 11, I've got Sheffield United, and Chris Wilder's team were exceptional last season, really, for almost all the season. Defensively, really good, but they struggled scoring goals. And this season, I think that teams, especially at the top of the table, have spent so much money on attack that a strong defence will be only able to resist for so long against Chelsea's attacking team. And Man United and Man City and Liverpool, they always score lots of goals. And Sheffield United, I don't see them surviving as long as they did last year before starting to leak a few goals. Second season syndrome, but I don't see them dropping far down the league. So I'm thinking they'll finish about 11th. In at number 10, I have Leicester, and it may seem like a bit of a surprise considering they're in top 4 for almost all of last season, but I think European football will be a massive strain on their relatively small squad. All they need is a couple of bad injuries to players like Kasper Schmeichel, Vardy, Maddison. If they miss a few months of football, I can easily see Leicester just drifting away, not picking up many points. Again, post-lockdown, they weren't that good. They dropped a lot of points and didn't play that well. I don't see them again dropping out of mid-table. I think they'll have a good cup run in League Cup or FA Cup. They might do all right in the Europa League, but I just don't see them being able to play over 50 games and keeping up that level like they did the first half of last season. So for that reason, I'm thinking they're going to be just 10th. At number 9, I'm going with Southampton. And again, this may seem like a bit of a shock considering Leicester are 10th and Southampton are 9th. They have just sold Højbjerg to Tottenham, who's one of their stronger players, but there's still a few weeks of the transfer window left. I can see them bringing in maybe a good midfielder or a couple good players. The manager is obviously very good. They had a really poor start to last season, but they put that behind them and did, quite well in the second half of the season. I feel like Southampton are always going to be fighting for around mid-table. 9th, I'll be happy if I was a Southampton fan to finish 9th. So, that's my prediction. Number 8, we have Everton, and I think they'll do a lot better this season than last season. Carlo Ancelotti is an excellent manager, and he has managed to bring in a couple of good players already to the team. They've kept hold of a lot of their good players as well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin played quite well under Ancelotti when he first came in. He dropped off after lockdown, but quite a few players did. I think that he'll start getting rid of all the dead weight as well, Ancelotti, at the club, which will be really good. Pickford, he's not the best goalkeeper, but I don't think he's as bad as some people make him out to be. He's a bit error prone, but so are the best goalkeepers. I won't turn him down if you're a mid-table club. Pickford's still quite a good goalkeeper. So I think they'll be fighting for Europe, but they'll just miss out. So I'm thinking 8th. Number 7, I'm going with Tottenham Hotspur. And they've made 1 or 2 good signings so far this season. Dorothy and Højbjerg, quite good, but they're not really well-class players. They're not going to take Tottenham to the next level. They're not the sort of players that Mourinho would probably go after. For starters, they're not 6'4", and they're not quite pushing Tottenham forward. They're not really fighting for the top 4 again. Mourinho's first full season in charge, so I'm thinking they should do better than last season in terms of performance. But they leak goals as well. and they've got rid of one of their most important defenders. So I don't really see them fighting for top 4, and I don't even see them getting to top 6. So for that reason, well, obviously that's why I put them 7th. Okay, at number 6 we have Portugal. We have Wolves. They've just signed another young Portuguese player, Silva. He's a good 19-year-old winger, 35 million. So it's a fair bob. I do see them again as fighting for top 6 and trying to get in Europe. I think not having so many matches this year will do them no harm at all. Well, that's not what I'm trying to say. It will do them good. It will do them a lot of good not having to play 55 matches this season. Jimenez, fantastic striker, if they can keep hold of him, which it seems like they're going to. They haven't lost anybody, even though they're out of Europe this year, which is, I think, a good sign of how many players want to play under Nuno. So for that reason, I feel like they're going to do better than last season, and they're going to finish 6th, and they're going to be a lot closer to the top 4 than they have been before. Right then, number 5, I'm going with Arsenal, and let's just say they're having a better season than last year. Mikel Arteta is, a good manager. Arsenal seem to be in quite good form. They've won the FA Cup and the Community Shield. I know the Community Shield's not a real trophy, so all the Liverpool fans that say, well, we've won 58 million trophies, it doesn't count when it's a Community Shield or a Super Cup or, bloody St Johnstone's paint trophy. They don't count. Regardless of that, Arsenal are signing good players, however, and they've kept Aubameyang, which is the biggest thing they could have done. But again, they're too reliant on one player. Aubameyang scores pretty much all their important goals. And what happens if he's injured? They don't really have anyone else to take that mantelpiece. Pepe was £70 million and he's just a few stepovers. So for that reason, they're not finishing top 4, 5th. This is where it gets exciting, we're in the top 4. And my prediction for finishing 4th this season will be Manchester United. I think they've got a solid team. They've signed Donny van der Beek. They failed to sign Sancho and Grealish, but they've still got a strong attack, especially. Maguire, when he's, if he's not in prison or if he's not in Greece fighting with coppers, then, he's still a solid centre-back. 70 million or however much it was, 80 million, I think. It's not worth it in a million years, but he's still solid. Lindelof has really come into his own. Wan-Bissaka, defensively quite sound. Left back, Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams. They can improve left back, but it's not essential. De Gea and Dean Henderson to choose from. You can't really get any better than that, can you, in goal? Well, you can, but theoretically it's a good partnership in goal of who's going to fight for first. Rashford at front, Greenwood, Martial. They're not finishing outside the top 4, but because it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and he's not particularly a very good manager, I don't see them really stepping up the game to be fighting for the title just yet. Oh, and they're bound to get at least 40 penalties. In number 3, I'm thinking Chelsea. I don't see anyone other than Liverpool and Man City fighting for the title, but Chelsea are the best of the rest. All I'm going to say is Ziyech, Werner, Havertz, Chilwell, Thiago Silva and Sarr. That's all I really need to say. But look at the signings they've made. Look at the players they've already got. If they improve the goalkeeper, then they're one of the strongest teams in Europe, I would say. Again, on paper, they might not gel, but really, with those sort of players, they're finishing top 4. They're going to be fighting for a couple of cups. And I think they're going to do a lot better in Europe, unless they come against Bayern Munich and they lose 9-1 on aggregate. Actually, a drum roll sound effect here, but I'll just do it with my mouth. Ooh, in second it's going to be. Ooh, Liverpool. Hey. I don't see them finishing first again. I don't see them winning the title. It's been 30 years since they've done it, so they had to do it last year. With all that happened as well, with the lockdown and the end of football for a couple of months, it sort of tainted it for them, and I do get that. I would be quite disappointed. They couldn't celebrate with your fans, and they couldn't have a proper blowout and have a big, exciting match to end the season. Post-lockdown, they were quite poor, actually, all things considered, compared to what they were before. We don't know if that's because of the fact they'd already won the league and they'd given up and didn't care. If so, that's a disgrace. But even if they did and they just dropped off and weren't playing as well, that could be a sign of things to come for the next season. They're not going to finish outside the top 2 unless something drastic happens. But I just don't see them winning the title again if they carry on playing like how they did at the end of the season. So, second. Okay, so that leaves only first, and the only team left is Manchester City. So they're going to win the title once again. Their team's just too strong, really. They had quite a poor season in retrospect last year. They lost a lot of games, but they've signed Ake, which in theory, hopefully, should shorten the defence up a little bit. The team's just too strong, even without signing Lionel Messi. They're still the strongest team in the league based on the quality of individual players. Losing David Silva is going to be a big miss, but it gives players like Foden a chance to play a lot more. De Bruyne is still one of the best players in the world. Aguero, when he's fit, one of the best strikers. Jesus, he needs to improve his expected goals. He misses quite a lot of chances, but he still scores a lot, and he will get better. Sterling, he'll score 20 goals. He might have 1,500 shots, but he'll get 20 goals. Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, the team's just too strong, so I'm thinking Man City are going to win the league. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thanks a lot for watching. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe. You know the drill by now. Yeah, come on, you've seen enough YouTube videos to know what to do. So, I'll see you next time.